Peace for Ukraine or you reign now. Russia, just go home.
Be vegan, make peace, do good deeds. Heaven, Godspeed.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Religious and spiritual beliefs really provide, in many ways, an ultimate ability to transcend the self, to get beyond the self, to connect with the universe, to connect with God, whatever a particular person's beliefs are, in a way that we never have before.
Our ability to connect with God, a conversation with Dr. Andrew Newberg, part 2 of 2. Keep on watching to find out more.
Like the act of murdering? No, then choose vegan.
Half a day translates to hello in Chamorro, one of the official languages of the Northern Mariana Islands. My name is Kalima. The eco-conscious citizens of the Northern Mariana Islands wish you abundant blessings from Mother Earth. We are pleased to have your company on today's show, Our Ability to Connect with God, a conversation with Dr. Andrew Newberg, part 2 of 2. A pioneer figure of neurotheology, Dr. Newberg has published 12 books and 250 peer-reviewed articles and book chapters. His research confirms that intense long-term contemplation of God can permanently change those parts of the brain that control moods, the consciousness of self, and sensory perceptions of the world. It strengthens a specific neurological circuit that generates peacefulness, moral awareness, and compassion for others. Dr. Newberg's amazing findings have been made to various media and TV programs, including a Star Talk show hosted by Neil deGrasse Tyson and National Geographic's famous show series The Story of God with Morgan Freeman. Dr. Newberg's lab has been visited by people from all walks of life and have different religious backgrounds and spiritual traditions.
These are not experiences that are happening only to the Mother Teresas of the world and the Buddhas of the world. These are experiences that are happening to everyone. These are just regular people. These are people who go to church. They're people who are religious, people who are not religious, people who are agnostic, people who are meditating. And my favorite were just people basically walking down the street or driving their car down the street, and the experience just hit them.
In the book, How Enlightenment Changes Your Brain, co-authored by Dr. Newberg, he further demonstrates how enlightenment is ready for everyone. There is an enlightenment experience with a capital E, a profound and mystical enlightenment that changes the way one thinks about everything. There is also enlightenment with a little e, in which one experiences a change in the perception about a particular thing. He further listed 5 categories of enlightenment experiences: unity, intensity, surrender, clarity, and selflessness.
There are certain characteristics that we have found that really help us to define what these experiences are. So feelings of unity, a person feels connected to the universe, feels at one with the universe. The intensity of these experiences, that there's something about them that makes them more real, more intense than any kind of experience that the person has ever had. The sense of clarity, that they kind of learn about the world, they learn about how the world is in a way that they never had before. And that sense of surrender, that they feel like they're kind of along for the ride, it's happening to them. These are all the core elements of these experiences that ultimately lead to the transformation that changes the way that person is and how they are as a person.
There is visible difference between the brain of those who constantly contemplate on God and the brain of non-believers. And among the various individuals with faith, their sincerity and devotion made a significant difference in the results.
What we have found is that when people are very engaged, when they buy into the tradition, then that's where you have the majority of the effect. Or we took my co-author, who was a Orthodox rabbi, and we had him doing a Jewish prayer. And we had myself, who comes from a more Reformed Jewish household, doing the same basic prayer. And what we found was that his brain became far more active. Lots of different parts of the brain turned on when he did the prayer compared to when I did it, because for him, it has so much more meaning and so much more impact that it changes so many of these different physiological processes. For those people who are deeply rooted in their religious tradition, they're going to engage their brain in far more ways and get all those different parts of the brain that we've been talking about, the frontal lobes, parietal lobes, the emotional centers of the brain, like the limbic system, are going to become far more active.
Vegan. It's about hell. Hells are waiting for animal people, meat eaters, and war makers.
Virtuous viewers, we'll now pause for a constructive message and then be right back with more about science and spirituality with Dr. Andrew Newberg. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to the last part of our show, Our Ability to Connect with God, a conversation with Dr. Andrew Newberg. During our conversation, Dr. Newberg also shared his observation on brain-related health conditions, comparing those who believe in God with the non-believers.
In fact, even just looking at people who are religious or spiritual in comparison to people who are not, they tend to do a little bit better in terms of different diseases, cancer, heart disease, and even all-cause mortality. So there's been some very intriguing data to support the idea that people who are religious or spiritual, as a general statement, seem to do better in terms of their physical health. And other studies have looked more specifically at mental health, showing that being religious or spiritual, or specifically engaging in practices like meditation and prayer, help to reduce levels of depression, anxiety, stress in individuals. So there seems to be the ability to improve the mental health and well-being of people as well. There is some evidence to point to that. Basically, if you are someone who is spiritual, you tend to look at the world more positively. You tend to look at the world in a certain way that confers a more optimistic outlook on things. And again, the data and the studies have shown that when people have that positive, optimistic outlook on life, they are going to do better both physically and mentally.
Dr. Newberg also responded to the question of prejudice generated by extreme beliefs. He offers compassionate communication as the way to overcome prejudice.
And when you have a religious tradition that really does restrict your ways of thinking about other people and teaches a person to be anxious, to be stressed, to be fearful, to be angry at other individuals, those negative emotional processes ultimately do lead to impaired brain function. And we know that when the brain is more stressed, then neural connections can't form as effectively. It doesn't work as effectively. It shuts down your cognitive processes, thinking about the beliefs that we hold and how we can try to be open and understanding of other people's beliefs. Those senses of compassion and empathy have been shown to be very beneficial for the brain because it settles our emotions down. It enables us to feel better about ourselves, to be more positive and optimistic going forward about others. And in that regard, it can be a very valuable tool for people to continue to try to expand and to develop that sense of compassion. That's an important part of their lives.
Dr. Newberg addresses the question about God by affirming a neuroscientific fact his work has highlighted, that we are all believers by design of our brain.
In some sense, all of us are believers, so we ask a lot of questions that are very profound and spiritual. Who am I? How am I supposed to be in the world? What is right? What is wrong? What enables the world to work the way that it does? We have this kind of fundamental drive to answer these profound questions, which makes all of us philosophers and theologians and really trying to strive for understanding the nature of the world around us. Religious and spiritual beliefs in particular seem to support the brain's processes by not only helping us to answer some of those questions, but also providing what we call a mechanism of self-transcendence. Religious and spiritual beliefs really provide, in many ways, an ultimate ability to transcend the self, to get beyond the self, to connect with the universe, to connect with God, whatever a particular person's beliefs are, in a way that we never have before. And so that is why, if you look at every civilization that has ever existed, none of them arose without some kind of religious or spiritual tradition behind them. And even though in today's world, there are a lot of people who are agnostic or atheists, they do have what we would consider to be spiritual aspects to themselves, something where they want to connect to the world. They want to connect to humanity. They want to connect to the universe in ways that they aren't able to do it, that are challenging for them to do. And so people turn to creativity, to art, music, being in nature. They can find other ways and other avenues to express their spirituality.
Our warmest appreciation, Dr. Andrew Newberg, for your fundamental contributions to the science of neurotheology. May your powerful message facilitate models of positive changes our world urgently needs.
Remember, if we cause any harm to other living beings, we could also have to suffer similarly in the near future. Lord Mahavira, Vegan.
Russia, go home now.
Kind viewers, we hope you have enjoyed our interview with Dr. Andrew Newberg. Please stay tuned for Humans Must Cooperate and Be Vegan for Lasting Peace and Happiness, Part 2 of 4, on Between Master and Disciples, coming right after Noteworthy News. May God's light shine through your journeys on this planet.
Be vegan, make peace, do good deeds, hell not reach.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/ss.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule et suprememastertv.com/ss.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule y suprememastertv.com/ss.
برامجنا متوفرة بالعديد من اللغات. يرجى زيارة suprememastertv.com/schedule و suprememastertv.com/ss.